la Yesu Kristo tumeomba na kuamini.
Amen.
Praises. Msikae chini. Tunaendelea.
Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Nipungieni tu hivi kama unaniona. Sijui mtu wa keyboard ako wapi, lakini tutasifu tu. Sawa? Let's clap our hands. Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Ona kanisa letu litasimama, msingi wetu kiwa kwenye mwamba, tuimbe.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Ona ushirika wetu utasimama, ushindi wetu kiwa kwenye mwamba, tuimbe.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Mwamba, 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 Yesu ndiye mwamba.
Good afternoon, managers. Please turn to your neighbor and wish them a happy afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mungu wangu. Si kusema mu extend na si kusema mu hug. Nimesema tu wish them a happy afternoon. We are going to do a very small exercise. Tumekula lunch. Hii side unajonga ile I will make you fishers of men. Ukisikia fishers unasimama. Ukisikia men, F for fishers. Female. M for male. Mnasimama. So hii side tutasema I will make. Hii side mtasimama na make male. Sasa msimame. The fishers of men nyinyi mkisimama hawanaketi. Nyinyi mkiketi hawanasimama. Sasa hapa ndipo utaona confusion. Si ni F, hii ni F. Na hii ni M. Nyinyi ni M. Haya, nyinyi wote tuketi chini. Acha tufanye rehearsal kidogo. I will make. Sasa una. Fishers of men. Fishers of men. Aona. Sasa. Sasa tuanze. Sasa tuko serious. Tuanze. I will make you fishers of men. Fishers of men. Fishers of men. Kuna watu hawaketi. I will make you fishers of men. Follow me. Ona. If you follow me. Follow kwani mko? Follow me. I will make you fishers of men. Fishers of men. Fishers of men. I will follow me. Wow. Clap for yourselves. Thank you very much. This afternoon we are here to learn about mental health. And this is a very, very, very serious but educative topic. Sindio? So just turn to your neighbor na umwambie it is okay not to be okay. And an act of mental health is an act of self-love. Munasikia ama nirudia kwa Kizungu? Kwa Kiswahili? An act of mental health is an act of self-love. Unajipenda we mwenyewe. Since I'm not the lecturer, tafadhali we pay attention and you're going to be blessed. Sindio? Thank you very much. I welcome Reverend Joe, as I know him, to introduce our speaker. Thank you. An applaud for our minister.
See, to appreciate Gena. She was once my employer. She would give me some salaries, and it was never late. So, Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe. It is another afternoon that the Lord has given us, and I'm here to do a very simple welcome and introduction of our speaker. But even before I do that, it is also important because after this I may not get another opportunity to stand here. But it is important to remember that we are in August, and during August, for the people who goes to swimming and they are not experts in swimming, the tides are always high. And if you are keen on social media, last week there was a man who had come here with they had come for their honeymoon. I don't know what it was, but the man drowned because the waves are quite big. So if you do not know how to swim, kuna mtu alisema just go and touch the waters and don't dare the tides. The waters are high, the waves are high, so it is important to take care of yourself. So our speaker is a lecturer at St. Paul's University. We know that St. Paul's University we are members of St. Paul's University, and she is a sociologist by education, and she teaches on gender studies, mostly on gender studies. She also deals with HIV and AIDS and sociological and criminology units. Hiyo sijui ni gani. She is married for the last 27 years, and she, together with a spouse, they have 3 children. She is a member of the Catholic Church, but she interacts very well with people from all denominations. Let's join our hands together as we welcome Dr. Mary Ann Mwangi. Until she comes. Continue, please, until she comes. Yeah, continue applauding until she comes. Yeah. Oh, it is already here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I feel very privileged to stand before this congregation or these esteemed ladies who are here and gents. It is an honor always when you're invited to speak, and it is something that we take with a lot of seriousness. This year, I seem to, things are happening. This is the second time I'm coming to Milele, We didn't even know, I didn't even know this one was going to happen. We were here 2 months ago for our AGM. In St. Paul's University, we have a women's fellowship that was started by Professor Esther Mombo, for those who have heard of her or know of her. This women's fellowship, it is everybody who is there, from the sweeper to the highest. She was the DVC academics, because we said women's issues are the same, whether you, in spite of your position. Isn't that so? You'll be having babies born, weddings, deaths, families, spouses. So the issues are the same. So we came, in fact, the last AGM, we were somewhere in Naivasha, and the women just dared the committee. Next time we want to go to Mombasa, you know, and the committee took it very seriously. And of course, we had to do a lot of planning to be able to afford to come. But this is where we were in July for our AGM. And now just 2 months later, I find myself here, and we had a wonderful time. You know, you can imagine some people see Mombasa from TV. Sindio? Some people have never entered into a swimming pool or even touched the sand from the beaches. The ladies, some of them, they were so excited. But it was a good break. And I also want to thank the Presbyterian Church for seeing it that the ladies need to come and take a break, because we are talking about mental health. And you don't know what it does to get out of your normal, to come for a few days, relax, even though you're being taken through several sessions. The fact that you're out of your normal routine and in a lovely place like this, it is very helpful for our mental health. So that is where I come from. St. Paul's is an ecumenical university. We have the Anglican Church as the one with the major shareholding, but we also have Presbyterian Church, Methodist Church, Reformed Church, and the fifth one is NCCK. And NCCK comprises of all the other churches within the Protestant faith, like Baptist and all that. So I'm used to the ecumenical background. And Reverend, I'll remind you, I think I'm seeing you now for the second time, because you know, this year I'm finding it so strange. I'm here again because you buried our neighbor in the village where I'm married in Kinangop. You had come to bury the lawyer, Washira, who passed on, and he was from this church, and they mentioned Milele. Then 1 month later, I find myself with the women's fellowship here, and I'm saying, this is the church that was mentioned in the funeral somewhere in Nyandarua, and I find myself here. And I think, when we came for the AGM, we attended church here. A few of the women were able to come for the service on Sunday. And the first person I saw coming out was the other lawyer who I met in Nyandarua, but also from this particular church. But that is how the world is very small. A lot of things you don't plan for, but somehow God knows what is going to happen. So I am happy that I attended the session from Dr. Kibicho, because he was talking about rebranding. And how we can connect to our topic today of mental health is what can stop us from achieving those things that we talked about rebranding, you know? Because mental health has become a very big thing. And what is happening as the world becomes complex, you're beginning to see there are a lot of challenges. We are moving at a pace that is so fast. Sometimes you feel like, are we in control of what is happening, or is the world running too fast? So every time the world becomes more complex, the problems also multiply. And if you look at the advanced countries, most of them, you know, those days we used to hear people, they used to call them, I'm going to see my shrink, my psychiatrist. They were always taking tablets. And we are wondering what is wrong. Why do the people in the West, they are always swallowing tablets? You have to see your shrink or your psychiatrist all the time. But I think that is where we are heading to, because Kenya also is moving at a very fast pace. And sometimes we are going to find that it might take its toll on our mental health. Work is more complicated. If I recall how we were brought up, those days jobs were 8 to 4. Everybody had finished work at 4, people go home, there was no traffic, or people you are brought up in the village, you knew what was happening. It was very slow paced. But now, life has become so complex, and we are also handling so many responsibilities. I'm proud to see that I have several people who are here have passed through St. Paul's. Some are reminding me, you taught me introduction to sociology. Others have reminded me, you taught me gender, sexuality, and HIV. But you can see they were learning as they were working. And they also have young children. And they also have spouses to take care of. So when you have so many multiple roles to play, and everything has to be done. If you're in school, exams have to be done, assignments have to be done. If you're at work, you have to do what you're supposed to do. You also have church, you have to go to church and the church obligations, there are social activities. So we want to see, what does this do to your mental state? And that is what we are going to look at today. So I don't know. So it's... I would want to hear from you when you heard this topic is mental state and well-being in relation to also GBV or gender-based violence. What is it that you want to hear in this topic? What are your expectations? What is it that you think you'd want to hear or learn from this session? When you talk about mental health and wellness, what do you want to hear? And then we'll evaluate and see whether I was able to cover. What comes into your mind when you hear the word mental health? What would you want to hear? Yes. Yes.
I'm expecting to hear how well I'm able to cope with everyday life, sana sana on stress management.
Wonderful. Coping. Actually, that is one of the things we are going to see, because coping. When we are looking at mental health, it is not out there. You know, those days you used to hear people get depressed. You'd think maybe ni mtu mwingine huko nje, si ndio? Can we become depressed? Are we handling stress, anxiety? Yes. So it is us. How can we cope with these demands of every day? How can we cope with stress? And by the way, that area of coping, life is never a straight line. It's not a plateau, si ndio? Kuna milima na mabonde. There are times when we are happy. There are many things that are going well in our lives. There are times we also face other challenges, maybe deaths in the family or other challenges. So life is never a constant. So at one time or another, we are dealing with a stressful situation. So we are going to see some of those things. Stress can come from internal. It can also come from external. We have just come from 2 years of COVID. Who would have ever imagined that such a disease, we used to hear plague sijui iliua millions of people in Britain and I don't know, Spain and where. These are things we used to read in history. We never imagined when we are alive, we are going to see those plagues na sijui nini that killed so many people. But we saw it. Were we stressed during COVID time? We were facing death right in front of our eyes. Isn't that so? Wondering whether it's going to catch you, whether you're going to survive it. So nobody can live a life that is stress-free. And that is why we have factors that are inside, internal, and others emanate from external. And one of it was COVID. So coping, yes, another expectation. That's a very good one. Another expectation. Yes.
How to balance my responsibilities, maybe as a parent, in my workplace and in the social areas.
Okay. So we have coping, we have balancing responsibilities. Yes, ma'am.
How do I know I'm on the borderline of from stress to depression? How do I know I've reached my limit?
Okay. Yes. That borderline, how do I know I'm heading towards the deep end? What are the signs and symptoms I am heading towards a place I need to be pulled back before I enter the deep end? And by the way, once you enter into the deep end, it's tough to, it's a process to get you back. So we always say when your stress levels have reached a point where you need help, get help. But how do you recognize that you have reached there? You remember if you have dealt with issues like alcoholism, you are the person who is seeing this person is not managing their alcohol well. Is it not so? But the person who is taking this alcohol feel that they are still in control. Sindio? So can you be able to tell that you have reached a point where you need to seek help? Okay, that's a good one. Another one?
How to love myself more and put myself first before anything else.
Self-love, Thank you. You can see the lady who was here talked about self-love. How do you love yourself? And women, we have a challenge, We are all over. Babies, mzee, kanisa, sijui nini, chama, sijui what, shule, sijui nini. We forget ourselves. And that's why I say, thank God your employer has said, please let these ladies come here for a few days to relax and learn. It is a good thing. This is self-love. And you have managed to come here. How do we love ourselves? When do we have the me time? In all those things that we do in a day, in a week, when do we have me time? So that's a good one, self-love. Mm-hmm. Any other? Yes?
Thank you, Daktari. I was once your student from St. Paul when I was doing my degree in theology.
Okay.
You taught me in introduction in sociology. My query is, it's about the GBV. Yeah.
Okay. So this GBV, gender-based violence, and the women and the girls are the ones on the receiving end. And today we are being told, even for the men, they are entering there and the boys. But still, women are the majority who are on the receiving end of gender-based violence. So how do we deal with it? How do we recognize somebody is going through, a child is being violated, your friend is going through that, and how do we seek help? Very, very important. And we actually saw GBV rates went very high during COVID time. Because for the first time, people have nowhere to go. People were forced to stay in their homes. So you can imagine if your spouse is an abusive person. At least those days you'd go to work and come very late at night. Sindio, now COVID time, you are now there at home. So many things went wrong, and we also saw pregnancies. So many girls became pregnant during that time. So GBV is actually a very important area. Any other? And then we can, yes, okay. Burnout?
How do I? Okay, afternoon. I'm expecting to learn about burnout and how I can avoid stress to get to an extent of getting burnout.
How do we avoid stress? Burnout is real with all these things that we are doing. Work has become demanding, is it not so? It takes its toll on us. How do we deal with burnout? Yes? Oh, please. Okay. And then there, yes.
Okay, my question, Daktari,
Yes.
how do I tell that somebody is going through depression, is going through stress? The other one is, we are too quick to say yes. Yes is always an answer. Is it easy to say no when you cannot manage?
How do you even say no? Maybe it is work related. How do you say, and you need the job? How do you say no? Or I need a break. Yes, very important. What are the signs and symptoms? How do we tell somebody is going through depression? The same way we are asked, would you know your child, they were taking drugs or alcohol? What would be the signs and symptoms? Can we tell? Okay, that's a good one. Yes?
Okay, my question is, how do you handle the inner pressing issues at heart, and how do you handle the repercussion? Maybe when said out, how do you handle the repercussion?
So this is somebody who has issues, and if you handle them out, they might affect others. Okay. Can we deal with okay, the last one. Yes. At least the participation is good. Unajua tumekula kaugali. If we don't talk, tutaanza kuombeana, si ndio? Yes. A very good one. What she's asking, you are the caregiver of somebody maybe who is depressed. How do you take care of yourself? By the way, when you have somebody who has depression in the house, it brings everybody down. And it's not just depression. When you have somebody who is sick and suffering in the house, it affects the carers. And a lot of times the carers are women. Sindio? So how do you help the carer not to be taken down by the disease or to become stressed because of the issues of taking care of somebody? So thank you so much for those expectations. We are going to see if they will be covered. So we are going to define what is mental health and wellness. We are also going to understand gender-based violence. I'm glad that has come up. Types of gender-based violence, because there are several. We have psychological, we have physical, we have sexual violence, we have even cultural violence. And then we are also going to look at the impact of gender-based violence on mental health, psychological effects of GBV, which is the short of gender-based violence. And then we are going to look at the connection between mental health and gender-based violence and strategies for supporting the survivors. I think I'll just keep in because of time. Now, this is a major thing. We are being told about 280 million people globally suffer from anxiety. So it's a common thing. Everybody somewhere is suffering through. But we are told as Christians, we are told that even though battles can be overwhelming, God's word is filled with passages of that offer hope. In fact, sometimes I wonder if there was no church or belief in God, some of the things we go through, how would we even be able to cope with them if there was not that hope that we receive from the word of God? I always remember this lady from Embu, whose 2 sons were killed on the same day. You remember that case? By the police. how is she coping? What is her mental state? How do you lose two sons on the same day? Sons that were not thugs, they had gone to earn some extra money selling meat in a butchery, so that when they open school, they don't have to ask their parents for pocket money. The most responsible children killed on one evening, somebody wanting to take the money that they had. How is she coping? We talk about suicidal thoughts. There are things that can drive you who never thought you'd do such a thing into suicide. Isn't that so? How do you cope? Those are some of the things there. And if we didn't have that hope we get from God, a lot of people would have given up. Now, in Philippians, there's a very good verse that tells us, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication. We know this one very well. Sindio, it gives us a lot of hope. And in nursery rhyme, we were told which one? Why worry? You can pray. Trust Jesus. He knows the way. Don't be a doubting Thomas. Worry, why worry when you can pray? But there are times when even those prayers haziwezi toka, si ndio? Huyo mama unafikiria alienda on her knees, she was asking God why. But that is where we come in and pray for her, si ndio? That is when the church, the friends, the neighbors step in to pray for her when somebody is unable. And these are some of the messages that give us a lot of hope. Now, what are the determinants of mental health? We are told there are those that emanate from within and those that are external. And we have seen a very good example is the COVID. We never saw it coming. It came and everybody was it caused a lot of anxiety. Will I survive? People are just dying. Now it started from 1, 2, it went to 3, and then it went out of hand. Isn't that so? They started now reading the statistics every day. So there are those that you can never say you can be free of anxiety forever, because there are those that are out of your control. And we are told there are those that are social, economic, geopolitical, environmental. Others are emotional. We have different coping skills. Not all of us have the same. There are some who are stronger. Others, our abilities are different. And this is where it makes a difference. Others are genetically, are in our genetics, that there are some people when they have that kind of stress, they might look for an alternative to cope. And that's where you'll find people going into alcoholism or smoking or something else to be able to cope. So all of us have different degrees of coping. Poverty is a major thing. We are told about 40% of our population live below the poverty line. It is not a good thing. It causes a lot of anxiety to that person. Schools are reopening. Do you have money to take your child? Even that child, you have been admitted. You are seeing these cases coming on TV. This boy or girl worked very hard, got a very good grade, was admitted to the university. Are they going to go? You're being asked for 60,000. Mama Mboga anasema I only get about 1,000 per day on a good day. Where is she going to get 60,000? You saw the other case of a lady saying, we are peasant farmers and we have been put on, zinaitwaje, strand, sijui 5, where they are supposed to, bands, amekwa bands are like those people who have a good salary. So people are, what is the criteria that is being used to put you on this band? So there's a lot of anxiety. That boy is seeing his dream of going to university going down the drain. These are the things that we have to go through all the time. The biggest one, we are told, sometimes comes from childhood experiences. Sometimes that is where it started. What kind of a home did you come from? What were the issues there? Childhood stresses are the ones that, because they were not managed, will come out later on in life. Others were abused, others were terrorized by a parent. There were so many things going wrong in the home. And by the way, if you want to know how bad it is, though most of the cases come from the West, a lot of the people who are serial killers and rapists, psychiatrists always do an analysis of these people, and they have discovered majority of them were abused, especially sexual abuse when they were young, by a stepfather or by a neighbor or by or a relative living in their home. And even our own serial, we had our own serial rapist in Kenya. Do you remember where he came? Mnakumbuka? We have one, I think right now he's in Kamiti or Naivasha Maximum. You remember a case ya Onyancha? Yes? The first time we had a serial, and now we have the second one. He had killed about, I think, 19 women by the time the law was catching up with him. And there is somebody called Onsaringo, who is a journalist. He went to interview him in jail to ask him, hey, Bwana, what could have caused you to do these kind of things that you are doing? And one of the things he said is that an aunt abused him when he was a child. And that is what caused him to hate all women. And right now, because of what his auntie did to him, 19 women are dead. Childhood experiences will catch up with you. We are yet to hear, this latest one was arrested the other day. Probably they'll do a profile of him to understand what could have caused this man. He was just in the news last month, isn't that so? The one who has killed several people. We need to also understand what could have gone wrong. But in those kind of cases, all is not lost, because there are certain measures that are out there. And we are told if one is able to go to school and learn, get quality education, get work. Right now we have an issue. So many young people are unemployed. And one of the things that brings stress is how long it takes to solve your problem. All of us have looked for work, and it is stressful. But now the question is how long? 1 year, no work. 2 years, no work. 3 years. And it is becoming very common. It is the issue of how long are you living in this stressful situation that can cause you to have a lot of anxiety, even depression. You are seeing this one, we studied with this one, they are employed. This other one has been employed. Me, I'm still not getting work. You go home, even the people at home don't want to see you, because you're thinking either you're the one who is not working hard enough to get a job, but actually the situation is not just you. The jobs are not there, and many others are suffering. So you can imagine the stress levels that are out there with the young people. I went to school, and you have seen them. Makanga squeezing has a degree. Sindio, mumewaona? There was a story of this young man. He wakes up at 4 in the morning to go and carry kule marikiti. And he has a degree. But him, he said, I will not commit crime. I will work, even if it is little money. He says 4 a.m. ako marikiti with hiyo mkokoteni. But others might not have that strength to say, they will give up, they will begin to do all manner of things to be able to cope with this kind of stressful situation. So what is actually mental health? So we are told it refers to a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It encompasses how we think, feel, and behave in our daily lives. So it is individual, it is you and me. How do I think? How do I react to a situation? All of us might not react to the same way. Mental health affects how we handle stress. How do we handle stress? A death in the family, people lost jobs. How did you handle it? You know? How do we relate to others, and how do we make choices in that kind of a situation? Our young girls, you can see the kind of situations they are finding themselves in. They want money, and they are making bad choices. If it's not money, maybe a good life. And the kind of choices they are making, you have seen how many have been killed in the process. What choices do we make when what we want to happen doesn't happen at that time? We all make different choices. Huyu kijana aliamua aende Marikiti, mwingine akaamua afanye agojee watu jioni, apige ngeta, achukue mali yao, si ndio? We all make different choices. So what we want to look at here is emotional balance, the ability to manage emotions and cope with challenges. And we have all seen when a death occurs in the family, there are people who are able to manage it. Everybody goes through grief. But wengine it will go on and on and on. Si ndio? Let me tell you, hata kwa Bible, hata culture, see they even used to say how many days. Si ndio? Grief has to come to an end. You will not forget the person. Si ndio? But grief has to come to an end. Kama ni Waislamu utasikia 40 days is the grieving period. You're not supposed to leave the house. You stay in the house, wear black only. After 40 days, you are released to the society. Grief cannot be forever. Kuna culture that prescribes how grief should be done. Do we come days? Muslims are very specific. I think it's 40 days. Wakristo tunasemaje? Do we have certain days or a culture? Do we come from any culture that says how we grieve? But the point is, it is not endless. It is not forever. They acknowledge that yes, you have lost a person, you loved the person, but grief has to come to an end. Because if it doesn't, it takes its toll on your mental health. You have to move on with life. And it's not that you have forgotten your person, but grief cannot be forever. Psychologically, resilience, the capacity to bounce back from adversity. There are people who lost everything, their businesses, their investments. During COVID, you had, especially the people in the hospitality industry, you had taken a loan, put up a hotel or something or a school. How do you bounce back from such a calamity? And in our own small way, it doesn't have to be that big, but in all, how do you bounce back when such a calamity happens? Social interactions, how do we communicate and form relationships with others? And this is where the church comes in very handy. The women groups and men groups that you belong to, your family. These are the people who come in for you. Step in the gap. If they are not there, if you isolate yourself from the others, you don't interact with the others, this is where you'll face the problems alone. And we are so happy for the way the Christian community comes in when there is a calamity like that. They are the first people to come in. Sindio? The mamas are the ones who come there. They are making that team, making sure they are helping you, because at that particular stage, you're in another world. And then cognitive functioning, our ability to process information and make decisions. Very, very important. All of it, how do we process this information? And of course, the most important one, what decision do you make when this calamity strikes? Do you pick up the pieces and say, hi, through, let me try, start again? And there are people who have had to start from scratch. What decisions do you make at that particular time? So all this enables us to cope with stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn and work, and all that. Now, remember Dr. Kibisho talked about the brain is like it's his computer. Just the same way your computer sina hang. Ukishinda hapo kuna saa zingine inakataa, si ndio? Inachoka, it hangs on you, si ndio? You have to keep on shutting it to restart it. You know, sometimes, do you ever reach a point where there is too much in your head? I don't know, this Saturday, I don't know, you have like 4 events, you don't know which one to start with, they're all important, you have a side. Our minds are absorbing so much. And the same way, it is like a hardware, and sometimes it needs rest. It needs to be revamped. At a memory, see inajanga memory ya computer. What do you do when the memory is full? I wish it was as easy for our brains. Because you can increase the memory of a computer, or you can delete some stuff so that you create space in the hard drive so that it can be able to save. Are we able to delete? You know, our brain is like a computer. This computer was made by a human being. Are you able to delete, let go some things so that there can be a bit of space? How do we do it? We will try and see. And we are being told, have at least sleep. Be able to get adequate sleep. Sleep is important. Connect with nature. Take a drive. Those who love nature, take a walk. Enjoy God's beauty. Even when you have problems, forget them because you're not able to solve them at that particular time. Try and distract yourself. The beach is very therapeutic. Sindio? Walking on that beach, feeling the sand on your toes, looking at that ocean, very therapeutic. When we get a chance, but of course we have been warned, it is August, tide is very high, don't go too far, but it's very therapeutic. Take a walk on that beach if you get the chance to. Put your toes on that warm water. It's very therapeutic. Do something that will try and ease the pressure from your brain. Tunaambiwanga hata digital detox. Nowadays we are here, the computer is being detoxed, but nowadays there's a lot of information on health, food, and how to detox. Ndio? That waste ambayo iko kwa mwili, stuck in your, somewhere in your system, can you be able to take these juices, these other foods to be able to detox? So we'll see all those later. Now, what are the issues with mental health? These are the 3 things that you can suffer from: anxiety, depression, and stress. And we need to be able to identify those symptoms and to know when to seek help, when you can't be able to cope by yourself. So what is this anxiety? We are told it is a natural stress response characterized by feelings of worry, fear, or apprehension. You worry, you wake up in the morning, instead of your brain being fresh. By the way, when you are carrying a heavy load, you wake up in the morning, it's like you didn't sleep. Sindio? Even when you are sleeping, ulikuwa unawaza hiyo kitu, it was running through your brain. You wake up in the morning, the issue is still there. There is a lot of worry. What will happen? How will I solve this problem? While it is normal, they are saying it is normal to feel anxious, it's a normal feeling in certain situations, but chronic anxiety can interfere with daily life. Chronic is when it is long term. There is no solution to your problem. It is taking 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to take a toll on your mental health. And you're the same person who is supposed to deliver when you go to the office. You have said, I'm going to be a very good PA, assistant, I'll be cheerful. Then these things start taking the toll on you. In the morning, somebody comes for assistance from you, unamjibia vile unataka. Not because you want, but the worry and the stress is weighing on you. Because sometimes it can affect our behavior and output. So we need to think when we are going through those, and the work doesn't recognize you're going through stress. Indio, you have to go to work tomorrow. How do you deal with it so that it does not affect your work? So what are the symptoms of anxiety? Excessive worry or fear about everyday situations. When you start worrying, you worry about every other thing. Restlessness or feeling on edge, being irritable. Mtu anakuambia kitu hivi, you shout. You're losing control. Hata wewe unakaa sasa, why did I shout? Why did I react that way? Mzee anakuuliza kitu aki vile utajibu. Vile tu atakuangalia utajua you have overstepped, si ndio? Gen Z wanatuambianga, mama, why are you shouting? If you have that group, they just look at you and tell you, why are you shouting? Hata unamuuliza, but have I shouted? I was just trying to tell you, mom, you're shouting. Hata wewe ujue umeshout. Those ones, they will tell you on the face, why are you shouting? Hata wewe ukiambiwa hivyo, now you stop, you pause. Okay, I'm shouting. Before mtu angekuambia hivyo on your face, Gen Z wanakuambianga, why are you shouting? So you stop and reflect. What is going on? Difficulty concentrating. Your brain is scatterbrained. Hakuna kitu. And then, by the way, anxiety affects your memory. Uliambiwa ufanye hivi, hata by the next 10 minutes, hata huwezi kumbuka ni nini. Difficulty concentrating, you can't be able to because you're worrying. There is so much occupying that space in your brain. Muscle tension. Unakuta huku shingo. It is so stiff. There are times you can't even move your neck, ni stiffness. All this is because of anxiety. Sleep disturbances. You wake up I don't know how many times in a night. First, unapata shida kulala. Then when you sleep, you wake up like 10 times before morning. Then asubuhi ndio kale ka usingizi kanono. Ndio kanaingia. And then you get late for work. Rapid heartbeats, sweating and trembling. So you'll find somebody with anxiety can get overstimulated in busy environments. Hataki hiyo kelele. Unaingia kwa matatu, loud noise. You don't want unaingia kwa nyumba, children are laughing. You don't want to hear that noise. Because of the anxiety that you have. Message ilikuja kwa simu. Unaiangalia, uliona, lakini hautajibu. And there is nothing, hata later on utajiuliza, kwa nini sikujibu hiyo message na niliona? Munaona some similar to vitu we do. Uliona, but you decided, I don't want to respond. And all these other kind of things. You appear fussy about everything. Ni hizo signs, you cancel plans last minute. Hizi zote anxiety. So wacha tu tuendele. Now what they are saying is that there is normal anxiety, there is also anxiety disorder. Normal hiyo tunajua, when there is stress, how do you react to it? But anxiety disorder ni feelings of anxiety that can last for weeks or months. Haiishi, inaendelea tu. It has taken over your life. It is the one that is controlling you, not you controlling the situation. Has a negative impact on your day-to-day life. Unashindwa kufanya to function normally. Can be instant and sometimes for no reason. Una react, It's like you're not in control of your emotions and all that. So physical symptoms, paka inaenda nausea, sweating, shaking, dizziness, racing heart, and all that. So tunaona hizo not sleeping, food sensitiveness, unakula chakula, sometimes unasikia you have a running stomach, and it is all to do with anxiety. In affect even, what do you call it? Appetite, ukikula saa zingine chakula inakuharibikia because your system is all connected. You're not enjoying anything. And you can imagine it is going to affect all the other things from food in the home, your work. You're not happy at all. And people will begin to notice there is something wrong. This is not our Catherine, the Catherine that I know. This is not the Jane that I know. And ukiongelesha mtu umurespondie negatively, what does somebody do? Si wanasemanga wacha niache na Catherine, si ndio? So everybody comes, unamshautia mwingine, anasema huyo ni moto wa kuotea mbali, anakuona, anakuavoid. But you are actually going through a situation that you are not able to handle at that particular time. So we are told, when do you seek help? When the anxiety is persistent and overwhelming, when it interferes with work, school, or relationships. For those who are teachers, siku hizi wameintroduce a course called child psychology. Because a teacher spends more time with your child than you yourself, si ndio? We muliachana asubuhi, mutapatana jioni, si ndio? This teacher is with your child the whole day. Teachers can be able to detect there is something wrong with this child. And by the way, the child begins to withdraw. They will want to sit in corners alone. They will be crying. They are not playing with their friends. You'll begin to see their schoolwork begins to go down. That is how you know something is happening with this child. And that is why they introduce, because there is a lot of abuse on children, especially those from the informal sector. If you live anywhere or work in an institution that assists places the informal sector, kama Kibra or Madare or those kind of Mukuru, there are so many issues of child abuse that is going on in those kind of areas, and it affects the children. Physical symptoms become severe. Now when we look at gender-based violence, kuna physical abuse, kuna emotional abuse. Unfortunately, physical abuse is easy to heal. Physical ni umechapwa, bruises, zita heal. But emotional abuse, first of all, how do you describe emotional abuse? Utaenda kwa polisi useme I'm being emotionally abused. Unaambia describe what is this emotional abuse. But it is the worst. It doesn't have symptoms you can see with your eyes. You know, physical, when they can see the bruises. And by the way, a lot of rape cases those days used to be judged with physical bruises. Anaona nguo imepasuliwa, anaona umeumia, uko na blood here and there, wanaona umeumia. But emotional abuse, how do you first of all describe it? And that is the worst because iko ndani. And it destroys your self-esteem. So, but how do you know? You know, sasa hii ndio ngumu. And a lot of women suffer from emotional abuse. But they hide it. Lakini saa zingine it can come out in different ways. Depression. Number 2, there is what we call depression. Hii ni mood disorder. By feelings of sadness and loss of interest. You're always sad. Kuna kifeeling kimekushika. People are laughing, unaangalia sasa wanacheka nini? You know, you are alone among so many people. People are laughing here. You are just looking at them. What are they laughing about? There is nothing funny in this life to laugh about. Food loses taste. Life loses taste. You lose interest in a lot of things. And it also affects how you feel, think, and handle daily activities. So what are these symptoms of depression? How can you know? Kuna hiyo persistent sadness or low mood. Your spirits cannot be lifted up. Unaona watu wakicheka, wako na raha, your spirits are so low. Nothing seems to be able to lift you up. Loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. changes in appetite. Kuna wale saa hiyo ndio wanakula zaidi, especially sugary things. Unasikia tu kukula kitu sweet to be able to cope with that depression. The others, we are two kinds, wa kukula na ule mwingine ana lose weight mpaka skirt inaanza kuanguka. Na ule mwingine alafu unamuona si siku hizi maisha inaenda vizuri kwako. Unakaa anafikiria kunaona ati ni maisha ni mzuri. Hapana, saa zingine it could be a way of coping with that stressful situation. Sleep disturbances ndio mbaya zaidi. And especially if you have ever dealt with a case of the people who go to rehab, ama people who are alcoholics or drug dependent, they have serious issues of sleeping. Anaweza kaa the whole day, no, the whole night halali, alafu saa zingine naona anapata kausingizi usiku, mchana. They have a lot of problems with sleeping. And it's not just those who are addicted to drugs, but because of the worry and the stress that you are carrying with, interfere with you getting sleep. Fatigue or lack of energy. Kuna ingine hata oversleeping. Others are not getting enough sleep. The other ones are oversleeping. The same way we saw others are overeating, the other ones are losing weight. Fatigue. Unaamuka, unasikia ni kama umetoka kwa shamba kulima. Even your body is aching. Na unashindwa si nimetoka kulala. Why am I feeling so tired? You really feel tired. Unalala but mwili haisikii fresh. Feelings of worthlessness or guilt. You're feeling like you have done something and it keeps disturbing you. Difficulty concentrating or making decisions, and when it is so severe, the thoughts of death or suicide start going through your mind. I am not worthy. During COVID tuliona, a man is culturally conditioned to take care of his family. Sindio? He's the breadwinner, he's the one to take care of his family. He has lost his job, he has lost everything, and he has a family. We got several cases of suicide during COVID time because he's asking himself, this man who can't even take bread home, this man who anaenda nyuma naona watoto they are hungry. There is nothing as bad that really hits a man very badly. Rent ndio hiyo, watoto they are crying hungry. Unajiuliza we ni mwanaume wa aina gani? And it is not your fault. It is a situation that was beyond you. So those thoughts or suicidal thoughts, when you cannot see an end to your problem, those kind of thoughts begin to go through your mind. Now when we look at those two, anxiety and depression, so anxiety kuna excessive worrying, sweating, increased heart rate, but katikati it shares with depression. In both cases you become irritable. Mtu anakuongelesha hivyo unaruka, unajibu vibaya, mpaka hata wewe saa zingine guy unajiuliza ni mimi nimesema hivyo. Hata wewe unastuka. The way you responded is not the way you would have responded when you are in your full senses. Unasikia hata wewe hivyo sio huyo si wewe. But this thing is controlling you. Social withdrawal. Unaanza pole pole. Withdrawing your function. Sijui wedding ya nani watu wanaenda kuimba kushangilia. I'm not in them. You start slowly withdrawing. Low energy, difficulty concentrating, hard time sleeping, and restlessness. Hiyo tumeona. Let us go and see. Then there is stress. What is stress? Stress is the third one that emanates from the mental health. Na tunaambiwa stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or response. While stress is normal part of life, again chronic, long term, stress can negatively impact health. Sasa hii ya stress inaanza kutoka in different ways. Migraine headaches. Saa zingine unaamka unasikia kiheadache kingine up on one side, a very sharp headache on one side of the head, muscle tension, especially the neck is so stiff, fatigue, digestive issues. Kuna wengine wanaendesha, they have a loose motion kabisa when they are stressed. Our bodies react differently to stress. Emotional anxiety, irritability, depression. Cognitive, that is for the brain, difficulty concentrating, racing thoughts. Hawezi maliza one thing, unajaribu kufikiria hiyo, you jump to the other, your mind is always running. When you try to sleep, those thoughts follow you even when you're trying to sleep. So you don't get enough sleep. When you wake up, you're tired because your mind has been working throughout even in the night. Then behavioral, changes in eating or sleeping habits and withdrawal from others. So when to seek help, stress becomes, when it becomes overwhelming or unmanageable. Ukisikia sasa you can't manage your life, seek help. Reach out to somebody. It can be spiritual help, it can be counseling help, it can just be talking to a friend. Seek help, reach out to somebody. The problem is when saa ile mtu amejiua ndio mtu anasemanga, mbona hakuniambia? Si ndio? Unaanza but si ako na marafiki, ako na family. Don't we ask those questions? Mbona hakuna mtu kwa familia angeambia shida zake? Si hivyo ndio tunasemanga? Surely alijiua, hakuna mtu angeona wa kuongea na yeye. Can we also see ourselves a friend who is crying for help but hakuambii, but you can see dada yangu hapa, she's not herself. She's going through something. Can I reach out to her? Or are we too busy to reach out to these people? Hata akikwambia I'm okay, unamwambia hapana. Persist, because the first reaction is I am okay. But clearly you can see this person needs help. Reach out to them. Don't regret and say, I wish they had told me. Ama mnaanza kusema, by the way nilikuwa ninaona amebadilika. But it is already too late. Let us be attentive to our friends, our family and the people we are with. And sometimes wanawake, we are blamed. Women, especially if it is a man going through a hard time, tunaambianga we push them to the edge. Sindio? We don't want to understand. You still make the same demands, and yet circumstances zime change. Why would we be the women who push you to the edge? Normally you hear, sindio? So let us also be sensitive. So let us, what are some warning signs? You're mentally exhausted. Even for us who work every day, you get irritated easily. Small things zinakusumbua. You overreact to certain situations. Hata unaona, why did I overreact? To your children, to the people who come to your office for something, we are overreacting. That is already telling you stress levels ziko juu. It is controlling you because that is not your normal self. Hauna patience. No patience at all. Kwanza ukikuta watoto wakirukaruka hapo unaambia you can't even understand these are children. Yani unaona wanafanya before you could have tolerated it ungesema ni watoto tu. But when you're in this state, hauna patience at all. Anxiety or panic attack, completely unmotivated. Unafungua hiyo computer unaiangalia. For 1 hour, ukijiuliza umefanya nini? Haki unaona, there's nothing you have done. Unajaribu kufanya kitu you're not able to do. Your mind is all over. Crying unexpectedly. Kitu kidogo you start crying. Small things trigger. Maybe before you are stronger, uko unalia hivyo easily, but when you're in this state, Small things will make you cry. Hata we utaona, I normally don't cry easily like this. But saizi unalia tu ovyo ovyo. Not ovyo ovyo, but because of the state you are in trouble sleeping and feeling empty. Have you ever felt empty? What is this life for? Unajaribu ingine, maisha is meant to be like this. Is this what life is all about? You just feel empty. These are some of the things that we feel. Even anger, weight gain, muscle tension, hizo zote tumeona. But for you to have a healthy mind, we are told it is good to exercise. Take a walk, exercise. The body also needs, exercise is good for the body, it rejuvenates you. Eat healthy food. In fact, when you are stressed, ndio naambiwa those, because especially wheat na sweets, the people who eat, hizo vitu ndio zinakuanga, unakula ma sweets, ma biscuits, they are very inviting because the system inakuitisha. And by the way, food can control anxiety levels. For people who take care of children who are wana cerebral palsy, they don't eat wheat because wheat reacts. Actually, food has an effect on your body. Hawakulangi wheat, you make sure they eat more vegetables and fruits. Wheat itoe. And these are the things now we eat when we are stressed. Biscuits, aki unapitia supermarket, kwanza kanakuitanga, si ndio? Upitie supermarket ununue ice cream, ama ka chocolate, ama ka biscuit, it calls you. Na hiyo wheat, kwanza number one, bread, hizo wheat things avoid. Stay dehydrated. I think it's very good nowadays watu wanakunywanga maji. Kwanza wamama na chupa zao za maji. We are always carrying water. It's good, it's healthy. Read, travel, meditate. Like now we have come here. It's a good thing. Hata hiyo stress ulikuwa nayo kwanza unasema umeipack somewhere, si ndio? You'll pick it up when ukitoka huku, si ndio? Isikuharibia wakati wako huku. Just go out. And when you are able to. Meditation. If you're able to do yoga, they say yoga is very good. Wealth, invest somewhere where you can do something that you can see something tangible. In terms of relationships, they should be positive, drama-free, and built on trust. So life has to have these kind of things going on for you. So when there is one that is not going well, when your relationships are not going well, and for us in the university, we see it with the young girls. There's a lot of stress. By the way, ile stress watoto wanakuanga nayo wakikuja university. And I think it affects the girls more. Especially when it comes to relationships. This is the first time they are away from home. Wako na hii freedom. The relationships, hapo inaletanga a lot of stress. So when your life is drama free, hiyo ni stress moja chini. But we know sometimes homes there is a lot of drama, si ndio? Na hiyo inaleta a lot of stress. Let us time, okay. Wacha tuende kwa okay, what are some of the habits that can drain your energy? Overthinking. Hiyo ndio kwanza when you have stress. Unamkia shida, you went to sleep thinking about that problem. Wherever ukikaa tu hivi unaanza to think about that problem. So this is a killer, overthinking, inconsistent sleep. But this is where we are told, do not take medication for sleep. In the West, because this is not even, they don't take Piriton. Sisi Kenya, we can only access Piriton. Kule they access Valium and these of it because of anxiety, they are always taking these sleeping tablets. You become dependent on those sleeping tablets, and they can cause another problem altogether. So sleeping tablets, something artificial, is not the way to go. But there is nothing as bad as lacking sleep. Actually, this is what killed nani? Si ndio iliua Michael Jackson. This is what killed Michael Jackson. Kama mnajua Michael Jackson and Kung Fu, what was he called? Bruce Lee. That's expert wa Kung Fu. Sleep ndio ilimuua. Lack of it. Because Bruce Lee had trained himself, ni kama alikuwa na macho mpaka kwa kichwa nyuma. He could hear. He could sense. His senses, alikuwa develop hizo senses zake. He could see you passing even without seeing you. His senses were like that of a blind. Unajua a blind person, because visually impaired, because haezi kakuona, Mungu amewapatia another sense, ndio? He can see you, or he can, without even, there are things that they have. So Bruce Lee had developed all his senses. They were so alert, ikafika pahali akashindwa kulala. Because every time he tried to sleep, his senses, kitu kidogo, even a cockroach that you can't even hear it moving, he used to hear. So what happened? How long can you survive without sleep? Not long, eh? Akaanza kukunywa tudawa, Valium za kulala, mixing with other things. Eventually overdose ikamua. The same way Michael Jackson died because of lack of sleep when he was trying to practice for a concert, a big concert that was coming. He was excess practicing because he was a perfectionist. He wanted his concert to be excellent. Aka practice, akienda nyumbani, he's still doing the moves in his brain. Brain inakataa kulala. You're tired, you want to sleep. Brain ikakataa kulala. Eventually akaanza nini? Tudawa hatufanyi kazi. He went for the big ones, ndio? Ile ya hospitali. And that is what killed him. So sleep is important. Let's not go for the artificial things. Let us see how we can get that sleep. Don't hang around our negative people. You know, there are people who put you down all the time, si ndio? Si mnawajua? Aki when you're in their presence, mpaka atasema kitu ya kukukasirisha, si ndio? Avoid those ones like a plague. Especially when you are anxious. Aki huyo mtu who always puts you down. There's nothing good they ever see of you. They always make negative comments. Avoid those people. Watakuongezea stress. Not being physically active. Kukaa tu kwa kiti. Woye. You don't have the energy to do anything. You are just sitting. That is the worst thing. Take a walk. Do something. Keep your body active. Because when you take a long walk, you'll be exhausted and you will be able to sleep. So try and be active during that kind of time. Holding on to anger and resentment is the worst thing. Alinikosea, unaibeba. Unabeba hiyo mzigo. It becomes an elephant on your shoulders. Eventually it starts taking you down, sindio? So we are told, don't hold on to that anger. And we say our Lord's Prayer every day, sindio? Do we really mean it when we say, forgive us our sins? Na sasa unabeba mzigo ingine kwa alinifanyia. It's like it is a comfort zone, sindio? It gives us comfort kubeba hiyo mzigo alinifanyia. You don't want to let go. Yet we say the Lord's Prayer every day. We need to mean it. It is not easy, but we need to let go. And the day you let go that anger and resentment, ama sijui nilifanywa hivi, you can't move because you come back from this family background, sijui mambo ya poverty ndio sijui we couldn't get this when we were young. Let them go. Move. Move. Don't let your past define your future. Sindio tunaambiwangwa? Don't let your past define your future. Poor diet habits. We need to eat very well. Healthy food at this particular time. And the ones poor eating habits and not drinking enough water. So I think because my time is up, I'll just look at practical ways of managing stress. My time was 4:30. It's over. It's over. Okay, so just maybe niangalie tu kamoja. It's just all these ones are easy. Just eating healthy, all those kind of things. You'll get the notes, so you can look at what you can do. We are also told food is medicine. You can look at what we can eat to help us. Hizo carrots for the eyes, hizo nini, the kind of foods we need to eat, sweet potatoes, ginger, and all those kind of things. Use less sugar, more fruits, and all the other things. But basically what we are saying, during this time when you're going through stress, can we exercise more? Can we do things that we enjoy doing? Can we check on what we are eating? Can we drink more water? Can we do things that we enjoy drinking to be able to get out of this kind of situation? So I think I will stop here. My time is up. Is there any question or comment? Any question? I know it is after. Any question or comment? I don't know. I know for the expectations, we were able to touch on some of them. GBV hatukufika, but you can get, those were 2 topics in one. So gender-based violence, the notes are there. So I thank you, and I'll hand it over to...
Thank you so much. Anything that you want us to hear? Anything? Kuna mtu anasema kitu? Yeah? Oh, they're asking for your number, 1. She will give it to you. Any question? Una swali? Can we stand up? Watu wamechoka, wamekula ugali, tufanye hivi, we stretch our hands. Let us sit down. So thank you so much, Daktari, for taking us through that session. And I hope we were asking, how do we know somebody is stressed? How do we know somebody is stressed? We are with somebody in an office, we are not very sure of what is happening. Tumepata majibu? We are there ourselves, we are stressed. Na ujui kama uko stressed. Tumepata majibu? The way we behave ourselves when we are stressed, when we are depressed, when we are anxious. We already have, but we have been told, reach out. And when, actually I have never had that one. Thank you so much, Dr. If you see somebody who you used to you interact with her or him, and then you find this person is not normal again. Sometimes we just check and say, hi, hii shida ya huyu mtu ni nini? Unaachana na yeye. But she has told us, reach out. Don't say after, I wish I knew. Niliona saa zingine akitembea nikaa anaumwa. Sijui alikuwa anatembea aje. Nilikutana na yeye akilia. But then do we even meet people crying and then we go to the other person and say, kai, nani analia, sijui analia nini? Do we do that? So reach out to the people so that we can be help to each other, and especially us in the office, because we meet many people. We meet our colleagues, we meet people who come to see reverends. We see people who are coming to see, even elders, we have spouses, they are all around us. So just reach out. Thank you so much, Daktari. May God bless you. And when we have another opportunity, we shall have you on boards, ndio tukuje tumalizie. And if the notes, you can send them. The number?
Okay, so the notes you'll get I've already sent to ziko kwa hiyo laptop, hata kwa mchungaji ako nazo. My number is 0722 355 671. Yes. 0722 355 671, and I'm at St. Paul's University Town Campus, but tunaendanga hata Limuru because it's not so far, so we work in the two campuses. Asante. Na karibuni huko, masomo ni mingi.
Thank you so much. Mnakaribishwa St. Paul's for masomo. Now, we were thinking, like if we go for the cup of tea, coming back may be at all older. So we were thinking we do the internal issues. One of them, we did it in the morning. We did the elections. Now we have our president. By the way, where is our president? Please come over here. Kezia, give our president a seat there. Please come over. We have our president. So that one is done. We have an issue of policy. We have been talking about policy. Because actually we have never had anything that is written. Fine, we had something that was drafted by a few of us. So we read Dr. Marianne Turif. A clap for her. Thank you so much. So there is a policy that was drafted, and we have been following that one. But we thought it's good we have a more official document that we can present to you. It is going to be read out to you. If it's okay with all of us, we adopt. If there are amendments to make, we make the amendments. So at this juncture, I'll invite Judy. Judy, come over. This draft, actually, let me ask, who is the secretary to the Rift Valley region? Do we have her here? Rift Valley? They don't have. Mount Kenya? You are the secretary, and you never heard of the preparations meeting? No, we had written a letter to the secretary, to the regional secretary, to give us the secretaries from the region, so that we wanted to have a preparation committee. Some of them were able to come, some of them were not able to come. Then we got a draft, and that is what we are going to present to you. If it's okay, we adopt. If we make amendments, we make amendments here. And then when we prepare that document, then it's easier for us